The views expressed on the Sober Portland radio show do not necessarily reflect those of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting, Take 12 Radio, or its affiliates. KHLT and Take 12 Radio are not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship. And now, broadcasting on location somewhere in the vast expanse of the Pacific Northwest for the Sober Portland radio show, it's the over-opinionated 12-stepologist, the Monty'man.
Well, greetings, family, and welcome. I am very excited for our debut show of the Sober Portland radio show. In just a few seconds, I am going to meander on out to the lobby of the cafe where we're holding our first Sober Portland radio show interview. I hope you enjoy this. There's a lot of ambiance going on in the background and so forth, but I think you can pick it up pretty clear. So join me here right now as we move on out to the lobby as I calm down. I'm so excited you've joined us. Well, welcome, folks, to a brand new broadcast that we're starting here at Take12Radio.com on your internet dial. We are broadcasting on location today at the Spring Creek Coffee House in Milwaukee, Oregon. The reason we're doing this is we're launching forth a brand new radio show that's going to broadcast once a month on Tuesdays called the Sober Portland Radio Show. So welcome to that. And with me right now is really the sponsor for this show and the one that I really kind of hooked up with and wanted to talk to about our very first debut show. This is Matt Brown. He's the CEO of Freedom Interventions, and you can visit that website at freedominterventions.com and soberportland.com, which is sponsoring the Sober Portland radio show. Matt, welcome to Take 12 Radio again.
Thanks, yeah, nice to be here.
Yeah, okay. So tell us about what soberportland.com is and what this networking event is once a month.
Well, soberportland.com is really something that came out of me moving to this area and finding that there was really a need for collaborative work in the addiction treatment field. Mm-hmm. I came from an environment moving up here where addiction professionals really utilized each other in a more collaborative way. And when I moved up here to this area, I really felt that there was a strong need to really create more cohesion, more unity as professionals in this environment. And so I started the SoberPortland.com website, and then from there decided, you know what, we need to actually have an opportunity to meet face to face and get to know one another, get to learn our strengths, and really begin to utilize the services that we have here, because there's such a rich environment. There's such a wealth of knowledge and experience here in this area. And I just felt like as professionals we needed to do more to make it known to one another.
Sure.
And so that's where this came from. We started this, I believe our first networking meeting was in September of last year. And it's been very well attended and very well supported by addiction professionals in the area ever since.
Right. And so what's going on here, listeners, is it's common to meet in a facility like this. It's a little cafe here in Milwaukee, the Spring Creek Coffee House, and or at the facility, whoever's hosting it.
That's right.
And like you said, people get together and they network. They trade business cards. They trade flyers. Hopefully, stay in contact with each other. That this isn't just something that happens once a month, but that we're talking to each other on a regular basis. And now what's happened is Take 12 Radio's come in, and we're coming in and recording once a month at the facility who's hosting it. In fact, I believe Clean Adventures or Compassionate Interventions is right here, isn't it?
They are. They're very close by. They're about 5 miles away.
Right.
And after the meeting today, anyone who wants to will be able to go over there and take a look at their facility and get to know their program a little bit better.
Right. And we're going to be talking with Benjamin Randolph. And Benjamin is, what is his position with Clean Adventures?
He's the owner.
He's the owner of Clean Adventures.
He's the owner of Clean Adventures Oregon. Right. They're a sister. He'll explain more, but my understanding is they're a sister program to a program down in Arizona. He's also a wonderful interventionist, and that's really where he professionally started out as an interventionist. And he'll tell you more of his story. I don't need to hype him, but but just a fantastic interventionist and a good sober man.
Well, Matt, thank you for allowing us to do this, to come in here and crowd you out a little bit and do this show, and for being such a big part of Take 12 Radio.
It's a pleasure to have you guys here. Thanks for coming, and thanks for being a part of this effort.
You bet. And folks, what some of you may not know is Matt Brown is on our advisory board here at Take 12 Radio, and met him on an airplane, kind of, sort of, and we hit it off. And Matt, you're looking sharp today, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, brother. Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, we'll be back in just a minute with Benjamin Randolph.
We understand that having a loved one caught in the grips of an addiction is a powerless position to be in, and we understand this on a very personal level. We have been there ourselves. Our own families have experienced exactly what you are feeling now. The good news is we are here to direct you in finding a way out. We are Freedom Interventions, providing the direction necessary to get the help for your addicted loved one. Your family has specific needs. We can determine the best approach for your specific circumstances. If an intervention is needed, we will provide the direction required to safely and effectively accomplish the goal of recovery for all. To begin the recovery process for your loved one, call toll-free at 888-762-7557. That's 888-762-7557. And visit our website at freedominterventions.com. Freedom Interventions, providing drug and alcohol interventions and a continuum of care services to clients and their families.
With the advent of the Affordable Care Act and existing parity legislation, addictions or severe substance use disorders will be considered as other chronic health conditions. Treatment outcomes will be newly defined and closely watched. Reimbursement models will also shift to motivate changes in efficiency and effectiveness of care provided. There are many new and exciting challenges coming down the pike, and we all must be ready. Well, C4 Recovery Solutions is hosting Access, Addiction Executives Industry Summit, as a working conference for board members, senior executives, medical directors, clinical supervisors, mid-level managers, and information technology staff to plan for and implement strategies to meet these challenges. The Addiction Executives Industry Summit will be held at the breathtaking Waldorf Astoria in Naples, Florida, February 9th through the 12th, 2014. For more information and to register, visit www.accesssummit.com. That's AXISSUMMIT.com. And join us for one of the most informative conferences you'll attend all year.
This is Chris Schroeder. You are listening to Take12Radio.com, recovery talk and positive music.
Okay, welcome back. And this is the debut show for the Sober Portland radio show, reaching the Pacific Northwest with the solution of recovery. I am the Monty'man here at Take12Radio.com on your internet dial. And we are broadcasting today on location from Spring Creek Coffee House in Milwaukee, Oregon. And sitting across from me right now is Benjamin Randolph. Ben, you prefer Ben, right?
Yes.
Okay. Ben is the owner of Clean Adventures of Oregon and also Compassionate Interventions. Ben was born and raised in Portland, Oregon. Ben has been an addiction counselor since 2000 with training in structural family therapy, motivational interviewing, and what is this? Dialectical behavior?
It's more commonly referred to as DBT. It's a treatment modality that was originally designed to work with the Access 2 population, but it's been more widely used because the interventions are pretty simple and at the same time not disrespectful. I mean, that's kind of the way I've always phrased it. Because I used to use it with chronically mentally ill folks, too, in a smaller degree.
Now, you are a person that has experienced the pain of addiction yourself, true?
Yes, that's correct. I have 15 years of sobriety. I like to tell people I ate Thanksgiving dinner in Hooper Detox here in Portland.
Well, you are involved with Sober Portland, which is this relatively new recovery social networking event. Matt Brown, who's on our board of directors, is the one that started it, and we're so glad to have you on our very first show for the Sober Portland radio show. Now, you own Clean Adventures. Is it a franchise? Is that what you refer to as the owner?
Well, I guess you could call it a franchise for lack of better words, but really I've kind of partnered with Clean Adventures down in Prescott. Okay. But I own Clean Adventures Oregon.
Right. Now, before we talk about compassionate interventions, let's talk about Clean Adventures. What exactly is going on? Your logo has a guy. It looks like he's hiking through the wilderness. Is this an all wilderness recovery program, or is there more going on besides that?
No, we have houses in the Portland area. I say houses because we're getting ready to open our second. And we do groups. Basically, it's it's licensed an outpatient program. So, stepping down from residential, if you've been to residential before and you weren't successful, you can come do outpatient with us. In addition to living in a sober house with a house manager, we have a lot of structure. We make you go to meetings. We help you get a job, and then the adventure component is the biggest piece. We teach you how to have fun in recovery, and that can be anything from, a movie on Sunday if it's raining and nasty and nobody wants to do anything, to we've gone fishing a bunch. The guys have been steelhead fishing on the Clackamas here in Portland a couple times here lately as they start to run. A 4-day fishing trip last summer over to Central Oregon. Paintball. We're going skiing in mid-February. So the adventure component is very, very big. They also did some deep sea fishing. So, we're really trying to show the guys how to have fun and make use of all the great resources we have in Oregon.
Do you find that a lot of the guys have never experienced having a legitimate good time? I mean, their lives have been just so full of trauma that it's brand new to them? Yeah,
even if they have, a couple of our guys have a fishing history, but it's been so long since they fished because the addiction overran their lives, a lot of times, or, the example I always give the guys is, this may be the first time you're going to walk into the movie theater without a 12-pack shoved into your sleeves.
There you go.
Which is something I relate to. So,
yep.
The one, and I've done this before in residential programs that I was working, but the interesting one I think is going to be take the guys bowling, because bowling is so often associated with drinking.
Yeah.
I found early in my career that was always a good outing to have clients go on in a safe group.
Because for me, it was the fishing thing. I'd have to pull my line out of the water so I could drink, because I was catching fish.
Yeah.
Don't have time.
Yeah.
Don't have time for my alcohol.
Yeah.
So approaching life and all the wondrous things it has to offer, clean and sober, is something that is new for a lot of people. And this is a sober living situation. Is there co-ed housing or?
No, it's all men right now.
All men. Okay.
Clean Adventures Oregon is all men and will stay all men. The groups are ran by an LCSW, Mr. Jim Grant, who's been in the program himself 35 years and been in the field about 40. So he's got some interesting stories himself from early in his career. And then, like I said, we got a house manager for every house, and the safety factors there. We only allow people to work a maximum of 32 hours a week because, like I tell all the guys, it's all inclusive. I provide the food, I provide the means to get food. You practice shopping on your own, cooking on your own, but it's the program, everything's included. But I can't work a program for you, is what I always tell people. And I know, Monty, working with other people, you know that. So I tell people, I might be able to help you get a job because I was born and raised in Portland, but I can't work a program for you. You got to do that yourself. So that's really the focus.
Do you guys teach basic life skills? Some of these guys don't have any of that stuff.
Yeah, we've done everything from proofreading resumes to mock interviews to doing cooking classes.
Wow.
The other thing we offer is we give everybody a gym membership to 24-hour fitness. And the guys really
cool.
utilize that. And the reason I bring that up is because with the cooking, some of these guys are really pushing some weight and eating like crap. So, really teaching them a proper way to eat, more healthy way to eat is really, really helpful.
The nutrition factor is such a big deal. And in your standard 12-step support meetings, we really don't talk about that. We get cleaned up, and then we wonder why we're still having severe headaches at night, why we're still shaking. I mean, in some treatment facilities, they lock up the jams and jellies, right? Because there's pre-diabetes going on, or diabetes. And so the nutrition factor is so important. We were talking with somebody earlier during the Sober Portland event about this, and we're going to be doing a piece on nutrition at some point. Let's talk about compassionate interventions. Were you doing this before Clean Adventures?
Yes, I've had compassionate interventions since 2005. The website registered the name, I think, for the first time in 2007. It's now an LLC. And I made the decision to leave my employment in 2011. I'd always done it on the side and went full time. And compassionate interventions, I work nationwide, and my goal is to help people get into treatment and also give families their lives back. Mm-hmm. Because most families have been so racked by the addict and their behavior that it's time to give them their lives back.
You bet.
So, my success rate doing interventions is very high. Unfortunately, a lot of people think I'm going to go in there. Current media has you believe that an intervention, I'm going to go in there and grab them by their hair and throw them on the floor and drag them out to treatment and
fix their kid, right?
Yeah, and that's just not it. That's an interesting point when you say fix your kid. Had this one family I was talking to, and I get a little intense when I'm talking, and so I'm kind of doing a genogram on a piece of paper, which is a family tree, kind of talking it through as I'm doing it, and this gal's brother says, well, you keep talking about this a family disease. She's the one with the problem, and I didn't look up, and I said, well, you're the one that helped create a system that's allowed her to drink for 30 years. And Monty, I'm not kidding you, 10 minutes later, they were settling up with me, and I was on my way.
Right.
Right. So I learned to temper that a little bit, but that's a really hard lesson for a lot of families to learn. Everybody has to change. Mm-hmm. When I walk in, I'm not just looking at the addict to change. Everybody has to change. Because I'm trained in structural family therapy. I know that everybody has a role, like, the little cartoon diagrams that many of us got when we were in treatment ourselves.
Sure.
The clown and the scapegoat and all the little figures. So it's real important to change those patterns for everybody, not just the addict.
Do you find that the people that you work with, that there's a high percentage of narcotic and or alcohol abuse within the family structure already, not just with the one that you're intervening on?
Yeah, not so much narcotics or other drugs, but there's always often a senior member of the family system,
right,
who has a alcohol problem where they either don't want to talk about it, or I've had people refuse to come to an intervention because they were afraid I was going to talk about them.
Right.
And so there's a lot of defenses built around it. It's like, as a drug addict, if we were all in the same family, you want me fixed, you want my addiction fixed, but you don't want to talk about your alcoholism. Mm-hmm. And many of us who have either been there or work in the field know that it's all one and the same.
You bet.
It's like people ask me, what's the worst drug? And I say, whichever one trips your trigger. Whichever one makes those neurotransmitters in your brain dance the way that they're supposed to dance, that's the one that you're going to get hooked on.
And we know that a lot of the insanity happens when we're stone cold sober. Of course, when we put something in our bodies, then we got a whole other issue going on. We have the phenomenon of craving. We have all that. But it's within sobriety. I tell people all the time, alcohol and drugs were not my problem. They were my solution. It is in sobriety that I go insane. And so you don't have to put a narcotic or alcohol in your body to die an alcoholic death, for instance.
Well, there's a joke that goes around the 12-step fellowship, and in fact, I just kind of turn it around and make it a statement. I share it with my families, and I just tell them, when you have a drunken horse thief and you get that person sober, you still have some underlying behaviors to take a look at.
Right.
And that is very, very true. And that's another reason why, even doing interventions, I've always tried to plan out the longest-term solution I could. Putting somebody in a treatment center and leaving them at the front door is not my idea of success. Success is when the family calls me a year later and says that the individual is still clean and sober.
And that's something on our radio programs that we want the listeners to grasp onto. And we're not just talking about people going into treatment. We want to talk about what's going on, particularly after long-term treatment. I mean, we have the 30-day spin cycle. That's all great and wonderful, particularly for the person who's the alcohol abuser, but maybe not the true alcoholic. That works really good. But for somebody that is the real deal, for somebody that has the obsession of the mind and the allergy of the body, we want to show people that treatment works. And it's just not a matter of going in for a couple of days and getting some tools and going out. Do you guys do follow-up?
Yes, as much as the family. I've never really had a commitment, but as much as the family will allow me.
Right.
But a lot of times, I'm real careful about the treatment centers I use.
Sure.
A lot of times, the treatment centers I use, I know what the aftercare plan is because they coordinate with me and they say, this is what we want to do. What do you think? And I say yay or nay, and this is why. And ultimately, the decision's theirs, but they're real good about referring to me and my experience working with the family.
Yeah. There are treatment centers, and I'm not poo-pooing them. I'm really not. But there are treatment centers that are clinician-based only. They understand the problem to a degree, but may not understand the solution. Then there are other treatment centers that understand the solution, but don't understand the problem. We got to get everybody on the same page. The faith community is getting better at this, but they've had the solution for years, but didn't get the problem. Do you guys work on a spiritual plane at all in Clean Adventures and in compassionate interventions?
Yeah, that's a good question. Last night in group, I happened to be sitting in on part of it with a therapist, and one of the guys is really struggling with a higher power. And the higher power he picked, some guys were laughing. And I was really clear, with my own recovery, I understand how hard it is to just develop your own sense of a higher power. And I just told everybody that, we like to laugh and joke and have a good time, but that was off limits because I was just happy as hell that the guy had had developed a higher power. I don't care what it is.
That he had some concept that he couldn't do it by himself.
Yes.
And that, in fact, the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous talks about anything is good enough to make a beginning.
And many of us know from having been there ourselves that that'll evolve. If
Sure
he keeps doing what he's supposed to do, it'll evolve, but it's got to start somewhere.
You bet.
I mean, it's kind of like recovery. You only get, 6 months or a year, one day at a time, as we all did.
Right. And most people, we got to give the newcomer credit, right? Give them a break. Most people really don't believe a doorknob is their God. I mean, I really haven't met anybody that really believed that. So sometimes I think we get a little carried away, and we just need to back off a little bit. Okay. Clean Adventures. How can people get a hold of Clean Adventures website? Go to cleanadventures.com.
Cleanadventures.com, and they have a tab on there for Oregon.
Yes, I saw that.
There's also an insurance verification form that you can download right off the website. Call me directly, 503-901-1836. For either Compassionate Interventions or Clean Adventures Oregon. But with Clean Adventures Oregon, if you want to come check out our program personally, or if you know somebody who does, I want to interview them to make sure that they're in the right space, because we just don't warehouse people. That's not what we're about.
Okay, what's that number again? Say that to the listeners for us.
503-901-1836. 901-1836.
Okay, and that should be popping up on the YouTube screen if you're listening to this interview on YouTube. Okay, and they can call you personally and talk to you about clean interventions or compassionate interventions as well.
Yes.
Right,
yes.
right on. All right, so sober living, adventure, having fun in recovery, maybe for the first time, clean and sober, discovering yourself and this wonderful world God has made for us to enjoy, interventions, working with families, addressing the issues with the solutions, getting people maybe into recovery for the first time in their lives, not necessarily voluntarily. True?
True. Very true. Sometimes you got them, you have to use some negative reinforcement to get them into treatment in the first place. The other thing you touched on that I wanted to kind of elaborate on is, working with the families in the intervention, but also working with them in the transitional program. Because, for instance, I had one young guy whose parents were sending him money for food, and I finally called him. When I found out about it, I called him and I said, I'm giving him $100 a week, and he should be able to find. Everybody's fine $100 a week. And they were like, oh, well, he didn't say that. I go, well, of course not. He's got you sending him cash, there's, you got to continually work with the families, and I don't hold them at fault. I'm a parent too.
You do the best you can do with what you have, right?
That's it, yeah. Exactly.
It's a rough road, but people need to understand that there's hope.
Yes.
There's light at the end of the tunnel. It's never too late. My friend Neil Scott from Recovery Coast to Coast says, how many chances do you give an addict or an alcoholic? The answer is as many as it takes.
Absolutely. We don't need our young. As my men's group, that's what we say.
Let's close with this. Your personal journey of recovery, where you are today versus where you are when you first came in, what's the biggest difference?
Self-respect.
I'm assuming you had none in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. The fact that, because even early in recovery, Monty, right when I hit 13, somebody asked me at my men's meeting, they said, what would you have said when you got clean, even though I knew I was going back to school? They said, what would you have done when you got clean if somebody told you you'd be flying around the country doing interventions?
Right.
And I said I would have laughed at them for their stupidity, and that always stuck with me because that was true.
Well, Ben, thank you so much, my friend.
Well, thank you, Monty. I really appreciate you coming and joining us at Sober Portland and also interviewing me. I appreciate the time.
You bet. And will you come on again? Can we get you on for a phone interview? Maybe if you're down in the Albany area, have you in the studio? We can talk some more. Bring your wife. We can talk about, the real true Ben.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, folks. You're about to embark on some recovery music coming up here in just a few minutes to finish out the show. This is our brand new radio show, Sober Portland Radio Show, reaching the Pacific Northwest with the solution of recovery. Our guest this month has been Ben Randolph, owner of Clean Adventures Oregon and Compassionate Interventions. Don't go away. You don't want to miss out on some of the brand new recovery recording artists coming up right after this.
Take12radio.com. Recovery talk and positive music.
Origins Recovery Centers provides integrated inpatient treatment for substance abuse and co-occurring disorders. At Origins, clients receive expert medical, clinical, and spiritual care individually designed for their needs. Our clients leave Origins with the foundation upon which they will build the rest of their lives. Call now to speak with an admissions specialist. Our toll-free number is 888-843-8935. That's 888-843-8935. Origins, delivering real solutions for real families.
Well, welcome back, my friends. This is the Monty'man here at the Sober Portland Radio Show, reaching the Pacific Northwest with the solution of recovery. I wanted to break away for a minute from all the noise and the ambiance out in the cafe at the Spring Creek Coffee House Cafe at McLaughlin Boulevard in Portland, Oregon, and make sure we said thank you to them for allowing us to bring the Sober Portland Radio Show and SoberPortland.com Sober Networking event to you this month. That is the Spring Creek Coffee House on Southeast McLaughlin Boulevard in Portland, Oregon is the mailing address, but it's really located right downtown Milwaukee, Oregon. Also, what we want to do now, and this is something we're going to be doing on all the Sober Portland radio shows, we're going to be featuring 3 recovery recording artists every time we do a Sober Portland radio show. And the first of these is Cathy Moser, and her song, If You Are Willing. Check this out, and we'll come back with the second artist.
If you are willing to go to any length, your higher power can be your source of strength. If you are willing, then action is the key. Give me the vision to make the decision to open the door and set me free. Life is a process, God is the core. You can turn your will over and open up that door. The past is the past. Let go of the shame, let go of the guilt, let go of the blame. 'Cause if you are willing to go to any length, your higher power can be your source of strength. If you are willing, then action is the key. Give me the vision to make the decision to open the door and set me free. Of course you have questions, of course you have doubts. Just try our suggestions, we'll show you the way out. Surrender to faith, open your mind, trust in something. You'll be amazed at what you'll find. If you are willing to go to any length, your higher power can be your source of strength. If you are willing, then action is the key. Give me the vision to make the decision to open the door and set me free. 'Cause if you are willing to go to any length, your higher power, it could be your source of strength. If you are willing, then action is the key. Give me the vision to make the decision to open the door and set me free. If you are willing.
I really like that. If You Are Willing by Cathy Moser. Next up is Learning to Live Again by recovery recording artist and my friend Conley White.
My name is Ray. It's 3 weeks today since I had my last drink. Live and let live, let go and let God. Before you give in, stop and think. Everyone tells me it's gonna get better. If only they'd tell me when. A day at a time, I'm learning to live again. I had a good wife, a wonderful life, but the bottle took it away. Now here I stand, a piece of a man, searching for something to say. And everyone tells me easy does it, but what do I do till then? A day at a time, I'm learning to live again. Learning to open up my heart and say what I feel inside. Learning to laugh at the little things, never forgetting I've cried. That's all I got, so thanks a lot for giving me a chance to share. It's sure good to know there's a place I can go where the people really do care. And everyone tells me just keep coming back and try to hang on to them a day at a time. I'm learning to live again. A day at a time, I'm learning to live again.
Well, I hope you're learning to live again, and if it means starting fresh and starting over, more power to you. Our last featured song is by a very good friend, an old friend of mine, Gracie Vandiver. This is entitled Trail of Light.
Some days are really hard to get through. One day at a time seems way too long. When I can't see God's hand at work, and I forget my own self-worth, and I don't feel like I belong. That's when I need some extra comfort from someone who has walked in my shoes, reminding me that this will pass, and though it hurts, it doesn't last. They take me by my hand and pull me through. When you don't know where to turn and you think you're alone, when it feels like your darkest night, remember that there's always someone who's been there before you. Look for the trail of light. I'll be your beacon in the darkness, 'cause I have known what hope and faith can bring. I'll light the way for you to see, like others did in front of me. Together we can walk through anything. When you don't know where to turn and you think you're alone, when it feels like your darkest night, remember that there's always someone who's been there before you. Look for the trail of light. And although it may seem hard to believe, one day you will be the one to shine a light for someone else to see. When you don't know where to turn and you think you're alone, when it feels like your darkest night, remember that there's always someone who's been there before you. Look for the trail of light. Yeah, just look for the trail of light.
All right. Well, I hope you've enjoyed those three songs from three very talented recovery recording artists, Cathy Moser, Conley White, and Gracie Vandiver. And right after this message, we're going to join you back out in the cafe at the Spring Creek Coffee House for the closing of this show, the Sober Portland radio show, at the SoberPortland.com networking event.
My baby boy was a very good sleeper. He would nap in the morning and nap again in the afternoon, so my routine became that I would drink the first half of the time I expected him to sleep so that I could pass out the second half. Even during my pregnancy, knowing that it might be harmful to the baby, I could not stop drinking. The fear of any harm to that child was not enough to make me stop. Sometimes I would try to go to the park with him, but I was becoming really fearful of people finding out what a sick person I was. Today, since I joined AA, I don't have that sensation anymore at all. I have a purpose in life today. I know who I am. I know where I'm going, and I feel good about it. I can be a mother to my child, and I can be a wife to my husband, and I couldn't be any of those things when I was drinking. Alcoholics Anonymous. It works. Look us up. Check your phone book, newspaper, or AA.org.
Well, listeners, I hope you've enjoyed this debut show, the Sober Portland radio show. Come back to us again, listen to the show over again, download the show, watch it on YouTube, and check it out. Make sure you check out all of our shows at take12radio.com on your internet dial. We have a different recovery-focused show every day of the week. Listen, until our next broadcast, this is the Monty'man here on location at Spring Creek Coffee House in Milwaukee, Oregon for the SoberPortland.com networking event. And our first show, the Sober Portland radio show, sponsored by Freedom Interventions and SoberPortland.com. Until next time, I'm wishing God's perfect serenity for you. Bye-bye now.
This show has been made available by Freedom Interventions, Sober Portland, and Take 12 Radio. This has been a broadcast of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting.